Hi, my name is Noah Gift, and today I'm going to talk to you about how to refactor your code into a Python library, then map it into a Click command line tool. Okay, let's go ahead and get started. Let's take a look at an existing project here that had a Fire command line tool library, and let's refactor this a little bit and also build a second command line tool with Click. So in order to do that, I'm going to create a directory structure on disk here. So I'll go ahead and make a directory for my library code. We'll go ahead and call this fruitlib. Now, a Python directory for a library must have a init file inside, and this tells Python that it can be imported. So we'll do under init under.py. Now that I've got this, I need to create an empty file to put my library code in. So I can also just do a touch command and put that inside. So we'll say touch inside of the fruitlib, and I'll go ahead and call this rando or something like this. Yeah, rando fruit, that looks pretty good. Ran fruit, and this will be the library that I use. So I can just grab this code in my existing script, which is all kind of encapsulated, and break it up into a piece. And what's nice about this is that now I can take out that logic of the command line tool and also take out potentially print statements. Maybe that's something I would want to execute in a second command line tool. So what's great about this is now I've got a library and it's ready to go for a Click tool. So let's go ahead and install Click. Great. I've got this Click inside of there. In my requirements, I'll go ahead and say make install because I like to use makefiles. This will go ahead and install the Click library. Next up, all I need to do is create a new file, and we'll call this one CLI. And inside of this CLI, I will go ahead and import my code, right? So it'll look very similar to the Fire library, but I'll use that library import here. So let's go ahead and do that. We'll copy it, go down to my CLI, and just paste this library import. So from fruitlib.ranFruit, import fruit generator. That's really the logic or the business logic. Inside here, I'll say import Click. This will import the Click library. So we're almost done now. Once you use a library, you can implement it in many different packages. And I'll just paste some code from the documentation here and just tweak this a little bit. So the way Click works is you put decorators on top of a function. In this case, I'll go ahead and say click.command, and then I'll put in the options that I want to put. In this case, we'll put a help menu that says, fruit to add, and then I can afterwards change the option to fruit. That looks great. Take out the second option. I don't need that. Rename the function down here and also change it so that it only takes one argument, which is fruit. Perfect. Let's go ahead and change hello here as well. Let's go ahead and make that something useful. I always like to make it something that differentiates it from the library. So we'll call this gen fruit. That looks good. And then here is where I would put my Click logic, right? You can see here that I'll also need to put a if under name type block here, and we'll just change this to gen fruit. And this allows the Python interpreter to know that this is actually a script, and that's what the if under name does. And now really we're almost done. I just need to put inside of here the logic for Click. And what's nice about Click is that it can also do very nice colored formatting, and that's one of the neat little features of Click. So first up, I'll get the output, right? So I'll get my randomly generated fruit by first taking a fruit from the user, adding it to the list of fruits that we can randomly choose. And then this docstring here, what's great about Click is that it'll actually take that docstring and it'll add it to the help menu. So we'll tell this to the user, pass in an additional fruit, and inside of here, this is where I would build out my logic now. So let's go ahead and build out some logic. And inside of here, what I'll say is basically an echo statement. Click echo. Here is your fruit. I'll make the foreground green, and I'll substitute the variable here of what they passed in so that they know basically the results of this plus the randomly selected fruit. Here's your fruit. And then once I go through here and I run it, I should be able to clean it up a little bit with formatting. I use the Python black tool. That makes it a little bit cleaner. And then I run Python CLI. And if I want to, I can also do help, and I get a help menu that tells me everything. So notice that pass in additional fruit is up there. Great. Let's go ahead and test it out. Aha, there we go. And you see that that foreground is green, right? So that's pretty neat. So in a nutshell, pretty useful to be able to build out a command line tool and style the output a little bit. This is very handy for many automation steps. Now, the next step that we can do is we can actually build out a second formatting option here by adding another line underneath. So let's go ahead and do that. What I'll do is I'll add another click echo statement down here, and we'll potentially use a slightly different style here. So maybe I would change, here's your random fruit up here to differentiate that line. And then I'll add a second line that says potentially, this is the fruit that you passed in. And so what we can do is add a conditional statement that says if fruit is in the output that's randomly selected, we can highlight to the user and say, listen, your random fruit that you passed in was actually selected, right? So we say chosen fruits, change this up a little bit, and then we say chosen random fruit, and then say if fruit in the chosen random fruits, here we can actually print a slightly different echo, and we can do a maybe a blink or something like this, and we'll say instead of here, let's go ahead and tell the user, great, you were able to get the fruit that you randomly selected, and in this particular example, let's go ahead and say your choice was selected, and we'll blink and add potentially a bold statement to this. So you can do some neat little tricks here, add logic, and put those things inside. We'll then change the bottom to else. So basically, if in this first scenario you pass in a random fruit, it's selected, then we make it a blink and do bold. Otherwise, we just give it a green output. Okay, let's go ahead and take it for a spin. Here we go. First, we see that it wasn't selected. Now we see that it was. Our tool is working.